Hello everybody, welcome to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes live stream. I'm your host, Offlineable, but in my guild, I go by Sarthidius. Joined with me today are two wonderful individuals. First Order Guild Officer Nickar, welcome to the stream.
Thank you. I'm a First Order officer.
Apparently First Order, I got confused. I wanted to say Guild Officer, but First Order came out, so whatever. You're the First Order Officer now. Hey, before we get into anything, do you have any content that you'd like people to know about before we begin?
I do. So I'm going to be taking a different view on this game than most people do. I host a podcast that looks into sort of the human element of how our world is changing digitally, and we kind of look at psychology and engineering, biomechanics, industrial design, all these really interesting topics. Like, for example, this week we talked about the state of aviation safety, a system to help visually impaired individuals play racing games, and talked about Elon Musk's Boring Company prioritizing pedestrians over cars. It's called Human Factors Cast. You can find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter at H Factors Podcast, and we're on SoundCloud. If you want to connect with me personally, I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter at Nick_Rome with 2 O's. That's me.
Excellent. If that sounds interesting, please check it out. I've checked it out before. I can vouch for it. I think it's awesome. Well, I'm a little biased because I was a psych major. But anyway, also, that's not the only person on stream with us. We've got someone else on here. Say hello, Mr. Anditesh Ordo.
Hello, this is Anditesh Ordo.
Very
I'm
good.
excited to be on the stream again. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I love having you guys on. Anditesh, are you also a content creator? What do you do?
I do a lot of different Star Wars Galaxy Hero videos for the most part. I am going to be stretching out into a little bit of other subjects, mostly Star Wars and in some Magic the Gathering, but I'm going to stick mostly with Star Wars on this channel for sure. Star Wars is like the best franchise of all time.
I vouch for that too. I love it. All right.
I'm also not willing to contest that point.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining me. Also, as far as Anditesh Ordo's channel goes, I actually watched 1 or 2 videos in prep just to make sure I had some things right. There's a couple things I needed from your video. I don't remember what it was, but I did need something. Also, and then also concerning myself, I'm Offlineable. I'm a video photo editor in training, so I practice that kind of stuff and dump all my creative output here. So you'll find anything from Galaxy of Heroes stuff. I just kind of use video games and stuff like that as an excuse to practice editing and live stream and stuff. Also, if you go to my channel, you'll find stuff like that. Some video game related stuff, some music stuff. It's a hobby of mine. And then a lot of editing, video, photo type crap. And then maybe some live skits once in a while. But it's all in the name of editing. Anyway, the main reason you guys are here though is... Oh, actually, before we get started, we also have a little bit of a guild recruitment going on. Nickar, can you tell us a little bit about what that's all about?
That is one hell of a stutter, I gotta say.
I don't. Never mind.
Are you Benicio del Toro's character? Are you DJ? Okay. So we are currently looking for members. Mom's Basement. Sarth, you are our fearless guild leader, but we are currently looking for people who are over 1 million galactic power, preferably someone who can put in their 600 tickets a day, if possible, have some of those characters that are a little bit more rare, that will help us out in territory battles, territory wars, that kind of thing. If you're interested, please reach out to us. On Discord, I'm Nickar 9545, Nickar 9545, or you can find us in game to apply.
Yeah, and then also, if I'm going to add to it a little bit, we're a nice blend between professional and relaxed kind of a guild. So we are competitive in the sense that, actually, well, I'll just say some of the good things. We do heroic AAT. That's pretty easy for us at this point. Rancor is auto solo. That goes down in like 15-20 minutes, very quick. We also do territory wars, and if I'm gonna brag, and I think we have a right to brag, we win like 90% of our territory wars. I don't know. I have a theory on why that is, but anyway, we win a lot of them, so we get those zetas. So if we're looking for people who have around 1 million, if it's a little bit less, we'll overlook it depending on, I guess, your roster. But as long as you can contribute to territory wars, territory battles, I guess raids, and just kind of like log on. If you message us, we'll send you some more details about it. We'll send you like a link or something. Anyway, but if that sounds interesting, we're looking for some more members. We need like I think 11 members. But yeah, and we're super fun. We have our own inside jokes and stuff. And I mean, when you join a guild like Mom's Basement, it's not going to be the most serious guild. We're not ticket Nazis. We're not going to hound you for that. We appreciate it, but we're not going to like crucify you if you don't. Anyway, so now that we have that, we should probably get started into our main topic today, which is the Sith raid. So, why don't you guys, maybe you could tag team it a little bit. Tell us what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the good. So the live stream's called Good, Bad, and the Ugly. So we're going to start off with the good. We're going to say everything that we like about this raid and also like kind of cover the content that just came out. So who wants to start off?
Anditesh, you can take this one.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Anditesh, you're on the spot. This is On the Spot with Anditesh Ordo.
All right. So some of the things, well, first off, I just like the raid in general. It's just amazing that we actually have the Sith Triumvirate as the raid bosses. It gives us a new raid, and it's even more challenging than the other two. Because I feel like now I actually have to work to help my guild out, because my guild, by the time I actually get a chance to, help Zerg, quote unquote Zerg the raid, it's done before I get a chance to even get on to do that, because the Rancor raid is just simply just flat out easy. The HAAT raid is there too. So, but I like it. It's kind of fun to build new teams and actually have a lot of different teams that actually are good against this. They have like a lot of buffed teams instead of just Jawas and Jedi for HAAT. This one has like a ton more, which also means we might have a prediction of a few reworked factions upcoming, probably in the next 6 or so months. I like how they actually did the raid where it goes Nihilus, Scion, Treya. It's kind of the order that you actually kill the characters, and then you have all three in the last one. So you start, but yeah, I actually like it. It's just all around a good raid.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely like how they did that. Oh yeah, actually, let's hear from Nick first.
Yeah. So first and foremost, we have a new raid. That's the good thing, right?
Yes.
Hello?
We have been clamoring for a new content for a while now, and then they gave us territory battles, and then they gave us that other thing, territory wars. But I think the fact that we even have a new raid, something that is set in such a unique setting, right? You have the Old Republic. That's really cool. And so that is about as much positive things I can say about it.
Oh, wow. I'm actually really surprised. Okay, let's see. Before we get in, actually, let me pull up a little thing. Oh, wait, I heard, Anditesh, are you there? Uh-oh. Did we lose him?
Maybe.
I'm
there he
here,
is.
but I can't hear you guys.
Oh, okay. I don't know what happened. It might be on your end, because I didn't touch anything.
If you're just joining us, you turned into technical live stream problems.
Let me try reconnecting.
Oh, that sounded okay. Yeah, I just reconnect, unplug, plug it back in. Also, while I'm here, I'm going to go over to settings real quick and change the volume.
I can hear you now.
Oh, you can?
Yep.
Okay, we can hear you fine.
Welcome back.
Oops, that's storage. Oh, no.
I had to listen to the delayed live.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry about that. Go on. Where are we at?
I'm going to turn it down there. Okay, so we were saying positive things about the raid. Nickar a surprisingly low amount of things to say about it. So I wanted to actually get in there too, because I have a few things that I love about the raid. So first of all, I think we can all agree it looks amazing. We love the new dark side content just because it's dark side, it's already awesome, but just also because it's Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic content. We think that's really, really cool. Other cool things about it is that it's Sith. And then also, this is kind of a side note, but have you guys seen some of the animations like between the transitions, like, oh, you defeat Nihilus and go into the next phase? Have you seen those?
Yeah, those are pretty cool looking.
Yes, there was one that I was in the last stream and I found it out. It was when it's just Scion and Traya in the last phase and you defeat Scion and then it's just Traya. She fucking kills Scion and like takes his life essence and then like battles you by herself, and I'm like, ah! That was so cool. She like drains his health and he just falls over like, ugh! And then she fights you by herself. It's super, super cool. I was really impressed with the animation there. It looked really cool. And then also this intro, like when you see all the dead Jedi lying around with Scion, that's super, super cool. I love that. As far as mechanics go and everything, I kind of like the Scion phase, and I don't think the Traya phase is that bad.
I like using my Imperial Trooper team in the Traya phase, because like right now our guild is like a high range guild, but at the same time it's not right there ready for tier 7 of Sith raid, but we're right now doing tier 4, and I just love doing so much. My best team is the Imperial Trooper team, and it's a really good team in that phase.
Yeah, so let's see. So is that kind of all the positives about it? I think we've covered most things about it. So like it looks awesome, dark side content. It's a new raid just in general. I'm gonna cleanse that off.
Yeah, and I agree with all you on all that. I would have added more, but we had the glitch issue. But yeah, no. I love the feel of the game, the characters added in. I honestly can't wait to actually play around with Traya whenever whenever anyone gets it unlocked. Months. Yeah, next year. That's probably what's going to happen is by next year. But then by next year, I'm kind of predicting this, not, but we might actually see a level cap increase between now and next March.
I really hope not, personally.
Yeah,
I hope not, but if they do, hopefully they actually address the credit issue with that, because then it wouldn't be so bad.
All right, so as far as positive things about it, it seems like that's kind of it. Let's get into some of the bad. So as far as the bad goes, let's talk about mechanically how this raid's been working, like each phase. What are your thoughts? Let's kind of go, let's do each phase one by one. So let's start with phase 1. What do you think is wrong with phase 1? Is there anything wrong with it?
Oh, it's perfect.
Sarcasm meter off the scale. Error.
I think, okay, so my biggest problem with this raid is that there's no sort of, you can argue that these additional sort of skills that they give you, like Soothe or what are the other ones? But these ones that they give you are these, they are the raid mechanisms by which you have to play the raid. And it just seems boring to me. It doesn't seem fun or interesting. It's not like a puzzle you have to solve, like turn meter reduction or toppling and trying to figure out good team comps. It's just like throw as many teams as you can at this thing until it enrages and then have fun. I don't maybe I'm missing something because
go ahead.
I feel like they just added this stuff so you can't auto it, and you know that what goal then are you reaching towards if you can't auto a raid, like or solo a raid? I mean, like I don't think this raid will ever be soloable, and sure, that's me just going, I wish I could, but at the same time, It's like I don't know. I'm so conflicted about it. But I'm curious as to what you guys think.
Yeah. So,
Well-
go ahead, Anditesh. I do want to hear from you first.
Okay, yeah. Well, I don't know. I kind of am on both sides of the mechanics and being able to solo it, because honestly, I have not had an experience of soloing a raid before because of, you know, what I said earlier, not having time to get on. But honestly, I actually kind of like the idea of not being able to solo it, so that, you know, it gives everyone a chance to see how much damage they can do to support the guild in that actual raid and phase and stuff like that. With the mechanics, the bad thing about what I don't like about the new buffs is I feel like they can do a little bit better. Like maybe heal your team a little bit on some of the phases, because I feel like that would at least allow us to do a little bit more damage, but so that we don't, you know, our characters don't die as fast. But outside of that, I'm mostly on a good note, a good side of this raid. It's actually been fun and challenging and different than the other two raids.
It's definitely different, and it's definitely challenging. There are some parts I do kind of like. I don't know. I'm a little torn between all the different mechanics that they've added. I kind of like that it's different and that you're going to have to worry about, oh, now for cleansing and then making sure this guy is invincible at this time so he doesn't die. It's kind of cool. I mean, it is somewhat recent that came out, so I'm still kind of conflicted when it comes to that. We did want to talk about, so with phase 1, which is Nihilus, so we know that some things about him. Actually, speaking of Nihilus, why don't I run a Sith team? And I'll have Nihilus as lead. Actually, no, I need him. So I'm gonna have Nihilus lead with Dooku. Let's throw in, what other Sith do I have? I have Sidious. I kind of need my other guy, so I'm gonna throw in Kylo. He's got a red lightsaber. He counts.
Not really, but yeah.
He doesn't have the tag.
Doesn't have the tag. That's all that matters, huh?
You'd be pretty powerful under a Nihilus lead if he did have a Sith tag.
Oh, absolutely. He's already powerful, but he'd be pretty crazy. All right. So concerning the Nihilus phase, so we know that he has the stacking tenacity. Well, I mean, that's kind of with other people, but the stacking tenacity and then the instant kill. So is everyone okay with that? What are the issues we're having right now?
In my opinion, with Nihilus's phase, I don't see a problem with it, because we've already had 2 raids, well, at least one raid for sure, that had an instant kill ability after a cooldown of a certain time, and kind of in the HAAT, depending on if you have buffs or not. So honestly, over time, having a raid boss annihilate a character kind of feels like it makes sense for the game.
And let's not forget that I just lost my train of thought. So
I'm never going to forget that.
yeah, let's not forget that I just lost my train of thought.
Okay.
So if I come back out with it, I will definitely say it.
Okay. I guess that'll be me that's up. So concerning the Nihilus phase, the thing I found most frustrating about it, so the stacking tenacity I've heard a lot of complaints about, but the thing I find most frustrating is that when it comes to his annihilate, it's not always predictable. Have you guys experienced that?
I remember.
Go for it.
And it is totally predictable. Go for it. There is a pattern to it. So, and this is something that was frustrating me as well until I figured it out. And basically what happens is, so he has those 3 abilities. He has Drain Force, he has Annihilate, and he has Feed the Void. Drain Force is obviously takes all the power from you and your teammates. Feed the Void is where he summons the additional minions, right?
Yeah.
So the pattern under which he uses Annihilate, he will always use another special ability first. So if he has both Drain Force and Feed the Void and Annihilate up, he will not Annihilate that turn. He'll do Drain Force and Feed the Void before, and then you get another round, and then that's when you should use your Unbreakable Will to protect yourself from the Annihilate. So he will always use another ability, and if there's one cooldown left on it and all the other ones are on big cooldowns, then you're pretty safe to. It's just a matter of finding that pattern and getting used to it.
Okay. Yeah, what I've found, there is some of that, but I don't know, Anditesh, so when you've been playing, have you noticed that, is that what Nick is saying is true, or do you find that it is a bit more unpredictable than that?
Well, I haven't really worked much, to be honest, with the phase 1. I've done a few battles with it. I haven't gone either way, knowing if it was predictable or not. And I forgot to mention, there's one thing I'm slightly annoyed, but not at the same time, is the annoyance that it ignores protection. And goes straight to health when all the enemies attack. But outside of that,
Yeah, that does kind of render protection fairly useless.
yeah, this raid it makes this. That's why it makes this raid so challenging, is the fact that you basically don't need protection. It's like you want a Nihilist lead team for every faction that you have, a Nihilist ability where it converts protection into health, just so you don't have to worry about that loss, the protection that's not ever getting lost.
Yeah, and it also really makes healers more important, super important. I think tanks and healers are way more important in this raid than any other raid, especially healers.
And they get what, 20,000 max health and 20% or 70% tenacity.
Yeah, the healers get the 20,000 max health.
Yeah, and they also get a heal over time when people get healed up to full. So they need to start dishing out those tags.
Maybe what they should do with the what's it called, the thing that the Unbreakable Will ability for the Nihilist raid, where you protect yourself from an annihilate. They should allow that ability to also kind of convert like maybe 20% protection into health of your allies, so at least you have a way of using your protection.
Oh, that's kind of a good idea.
But I don't know if they do that. But then again, ever since it's been out, they're of course going to take a couple of months to really work out the bugs, make it to where the battle actually flows more comfortably and not be like really annoying and hard to beat.
Yeah, so what would you guys say is some of the most annoying parts about this raid?
The raid.
Oh my god. So, I don't know. Okay, what was the last time I was asking your opinion, Nickar, about something? I think one of the other things that a lot of people were mad about, but you weren't very mad about. Do you remember what that was?
I don't remember, but I do remember being fairly positive about it.
Okay.
And now I'm
okay.
just kind of adopting the opposite perspective. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, so I've actually been. Yeah, okay, you know what? I'll be honest. I've been kind of mixed about it, but I feel like I've been a lot more positive than most people have been about it. There are definitely the parts that annoy me a lot. So with the Nihilist phase, I hate the Nihilist phase, and I think so. It has been fairly unpredictable for me when it comes to, because I've actually seen it where he has Annihilate ready, but he chooses not to use it. I probably
because
should.
The other two abilities are active.
Well, I'm not. Is that for certain? Or is there a chance that he doesn't do that? You know what? Here.
What?
I don't know for sure. What I'll do is I'll record it, and then I'll also check to make sure the other. Now that I know that's how it works, I'll just double check.
There was a Reddit post on it a couple days ago too, and it seems to be verified. But yeah, do check.
Okay, yeah, I'll double check it before I say like, no, that's not right. I could be wrong, so I'll definitely double check that. It is still kind of annoying because a lot of times you'll set up your, I don't know what the ability is called, but you'll set it up where you can't die, that character can't die, then Annihilus won't use Annihilate, and it's Annihilus? That seems appropriate, actually. Annihilus, Annihilate. Anyway, so we've got that going on, and I don't like that. And a lot of people, I think the biggest thing, a lot of people hate the stacking tenacity, and they think it's a terrible idea and renders. I've seen some comments. I can read some of the YouTube comments too, because I have some of that pulled up. But a lot of people say the stacking tenacity is a very bad idea. They absolutely hate it. Do you guys have thoughts on it? Do you agree?
It makes teams centered around debuffs much less fun to play.
Yeah.
It's Nihilus's ability to increase the tenacity, right? Not your team's.
Wait, say
You guys
again?
are talking about with the increasing tenacity. That's with Nihilus's setup, right?
I
When
think,
you're facing Nihilus.
isn't it with
Or you
everyone? I think it's with all the bosses, like this stacking tenacity with all the bosses. Does that sound familiar? So as you attack a raid
I'm
boss,
checking now.
so as you attack a raid boss, the raid boss's tenacity starts still high, but then it just gets higher and higher as you fight it.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking right now.
So a lot of people, what I've been seeing in the YouTube comments is that a lot of people think the stacking tenacity is a very bad idea. Because as you've noticed, any sort of debuffs do not stick on these bosses.
Oh, so what it is with Nihilus, it's Nihilus is immune to tenacity down. In addition, whenever Nihilus takes damage, he gains 30% or 30 speed and 50% tenacity stacking. These effects expire at the end of Nihilus's next turn. So it's only until Nihilus's next turn, but it is still kind of tough to beat. If they probably drop that to 20, it might be a little easier, but who knows? Look and see. I'm gonna read the other ones too.
Okay. Actually, let's see. I'm gonna finish this phase, then I may look at some YouTube comments to reiterate. So with the Treya phase, some people were saying that the biggest annoying thing about Treya is that a lot of people don't like the isolate ability. They say it kind of renders a lot of squads that you have useless. You guys have any thoughts about that?
I think, as time goes on, we'll find teams that work for it. It just needs time to marinate and figure it out. As to, which teams do better when you have an isolated person. Maybe you build teams of like these standalone titans that don't necessarily synergize, but are still effective on their own. Maybe that's one way. Or maybe you get like a squad of 4, like some Phoenix members, and then you have, somebody else and hope the isolate lands on them, or have some way to taunt and have the isolate land on them. I'm not sure. I think, over time we will figure it out, but it is an interesting mechanic, and I'm not super upset about it. How's that for positivity?
I agree with you. I definitely think it's something you have to work around. I don't think it's a bad mechanic. So yeah, personally, I think people, or at least some of the comments I've seen about that, are overreacting.
I get.
Go ahead.
With this raid, it's just gonna have to take some time to sink in. They're also gonna have to still keep working their bugs out. I'd say probably by May to July, people will start to get some familiar feel to the raid, get some more team composition or team ideas out there, and so we'll definitely see some more positivity down the road with it. But of course, there's always going to be those annoying parts of the raid that certain people aren't going to like, and they're going to just hate it forever. And that's, unfortunately, can't do anything about that one.
Yeah, and then also, so we've kind of covered all the 3 phases, but now concerning phase 4, do you feel like, so since they're all the guys are in phase 4, do you feel like that's balanced? Actually, we'll just kind of go with that as a general question. Do you feel like this raid is balanced, or does it need a little bit more rebalancing?
So just in general, I feel that people think that this raid is imbalanced. And Anditesh, you hinted at this earlier, but if there were to be a level cap increase, or additional mods, it's possible that they tested this raid with features that are not in the game at this time yet. And with that note, I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb here and say it's impossible to know whether or not this is balanced, not knowing what's coming next. As it stands in the game now, no. I think there's a lot of this raid has so much health, and I don't think there's like we saw a couple groups beat the heroic version of this, but it took them literally 50 teams of Jedi training raid to get through it with the expose mechanic. So I mean,
Before it was
not
nerfed.
balanced. Before it was nerfed, yeah. Before.
Oh
it was
my
halved.
gosh! Wow. I'm definitely in agreement with you, Nickar. I think it definitely needs balancing. It is too difficult, but on the other hand, I do want to give credit, or just kind of take it with a grain of salt, because when the tank raid came out, we all said that it was too hard, and I remember it being very hard and throwing squads at it and nothing working and feeling frustrated. I feel like we do need time to kind of figure out a lot of stuff about this raid, but on the other hand, this raid has a lot more health than the tank raid ever did. We kind of said that about the Rancor raid too, but now that we have two raids to compare it to, I feel like, oh man, I lost him. Now that we have two raids to consider it to, I don't think these concerns are unwarranted. I think they are definitely still strong concerns.
Yeah.
As far go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'll let you finish, and then I'll.
Oh no, I'm finished.
Okay. Yeah. I know that I was I was in the game when HAT was around. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to participate in it because I wasn't ready for it, like super unready. But from what I know, when I actually started playing it, it was way different than Rancor. And actually, weirdly enough, at that time, I actually liked facing the HAT raid over the Rancor. And so it'll be different with with everyone and their opinions and thoughts on the raid itself. So, but for me, in my opinion, I feel like, yes, it may be a little unbalanced right now, but I'm sure, like I said before, they're going to probably be working on some things. They're going to try to make it so it's not so super unbalanced where, the raid is just going to only be dealt like 2 to 5 million damage. I'm sure some teams will get to the point where they'll be able to do 7 to 10 million, but this raid actually has a lot of health to combat that. So
It definitely has so much more health than the last one. Oh
probably
man.
the last two combined.
Also, just to take a quick detour, I'm going to show you guys a fun little squad. I'm sure you're probably looking at this and you're like, what the hell?
Oh, is this one of the stealth squads that was nerfed for the
Did it get
the raid?
Did it get nerfed?
It got nerfed in Kreia.
Well, for Krea's battle, because what it was is it got to the point where everyone was going after the enraged part, and Kreia could only target the zombie and keep killing it, kept coming back, and what they did is make it to where when the enraged part happens, every buff is dispelled, and every one of your allies gets a buff immunity that's a locked buff immunity.
Yeah, so they did do that. With this team, since I don't have zombie, I found that Zeta Savage has great survivability, so I'm trying to make him stand out in the open. Kill him. Dead. And then Leia does the most of the damage in this team. Also, these guys are not well geared up. Let's see how much damage. Oh, 7,000, that's a lot less. So I've got Genosian Spy at like gear 11, but he's got terrible, terrible mods. None of these guys are modded well. But I found that on the phase 4 of the Sith raid, I used this squad and I got over 1 million damage. And they're terribly upgraded. They're not geared well. I think Newt's gear 8, so like a lot of these characters like gear 8 and stuff. So, and I found that it still does that much damage. Granted, I think Leia is MVP and does most of the damage. I think she does like 2/3 of the damage. But just the fact, because all these characters here that you see now can stay stealthed, and then Savage is very tanky. I'm gonna cleanse him.
Tanky for an attacker.
He's got a buff on. Let's see how much damage he does. 26 from Genosian Spy. He still does a lot. He's a good boy. Anyway, so this team was fun. This is something I discovered in the first run through. But I don't think this is probably viable on the heroic phase. I'm sure it's a lot more difficult.
Now, if you had 50 teams of these.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's just, it takes too many.
Yeah, of course, one thing that I've noticed with the recent additions of Territory War, Battle, and this new raid, I feel like I need more teams. Like, it's kind of crazy. I want more teams for, like, especially the dark side territory battles and the territory wars. You want a good amount of teams, and you're really the best number of team. Like, you can only like work on like a team, or at least maybe 5 to 7 characters. You know, fully work on them to gear 11 them. But then there are those characters you can actually slowly work on the side, and it does get tedious.
I will say though,
yeah, go ahead.
I will say they've done an amazing thing. They have made you want a nice deep roster of characters that are geared up a little rather than a focused squad that's geared up a lot. And I really appreciate that, because this is at its core a collection game. And so, you know, for someone like me who has everyone unlocked except for Kenobi, Rolo, Imperial Probe Droid, and Kreia, and Wampa and Hermit Yoda, of course. So that's what, six characters unlocked. You know, it's really nice that I can work on pretty much anyone and go for it and create some sort of workable team that can fit somewhere, whether it's in platoons or even just a throwaway team for territory battles. You know, they've done a great job so far of making this game a lot more robust for those deeper rosters.
That's a shame. That was the worst I've ever done with that team. I only got like 500,000 to 600,000 damage. But with characters that are mostly geared level 8, I think that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, Nickar, I do agree with you on that, though. Even though it is tedious to try to keep up with like the meta and arena, it has been fun having multiple different teams to work around for like Galactic War and then now the new territory battles and territory wars. It's been nice to have multiple different teams to have a chance to kind of play around with them, even though they're not like gear 11, gear 12 teams. Like I actually, you know, like I only have 2 gear 12 characters, and the rest of them are gear 11, gear 10, and gear 9. But it's still fun to actually test those teams out in some form or fashion on this game, and they have added more ways to actually test some teams. Kind of like, of course, yes, there's a lot of players that wish to have, you know, the sandbox mode against guilds or against just other players or just random AI or something, and that would be fun. But at least we still have a good amount of ways to test teams and say, will this team work here or there, will it not, and go from there.
Oh man. Another thing I wanted to get into, I mean, it kind of bleeds into the next part. So, well, let's do a little quick recap. So concerning the Sith raid, most of us feel, actually, you know what? Here, let me read some of the YouTube comments. I don't have it set up so I can show you. I didn't have enough time to set it up, but I wanted to read a couple comments. It's kind of because we do know that a lot of people are very upset about this. It seems like most of us are kind of upset, but we're not at the level of rage that we've kind of seen, at least the developers respond to. So try to get an understanding about where they're coming from. I did find a couple comments that I wanted to read. So the first one, actually, I can bring up one of them. I did set up one of them. Let me look for it. It was in, I put a comment on Arnold, how do you say his name? Arnold T.
Yeah,
Arnold, yeah, because it doesn't have an R, so it's Arnold.
Arnold.
Yeah,
I think it's because
I'll transition this in. All right. Oh, it's a little small. I'm not sure if I'll be able to read it. But I left a comment saying generally, like, I think people are kind of overreacting. I don't think it's a huge deal, like the turn meter from Stormtrooper Han, and like that isn't really working as intended. That's what it seems like. People are not supposed to be doing over 100 million damage on the raid. That's obviously not working as intended. And then also, man, that is tiny. The nerf for Jedi training raid didn't sound too bad with just exposed damage. She's still the top damaging person in the raid, so I don't think it's a huge deal if they nerf expose a bit. So there was a comment right under it that I wanted to. So they were a bit rude, but they were
salty.
Yeah, they were pretty salty and passionate about it, but they did have a good point behind all that. So he says, I disagree completely. Stormtrooper Han's mandatory character to get CLS, and he is the daily reward this month, so implying that developers want you to use Stormtrooper Han. So since they wanted you to use Stormtrooper Han, why would he have this exploit, or it seems like an exploit, why would he have this exploit so prominently or so easy to find? So they say if they did testing, like they worked a long time on this, if they tested this properly and they're like, okay, let's have Stormtrooper Han in here, that means not one of the developers saw or experienced this exploit and was like, yeah, that's okay, and sent it out. So I think that's his point. And I think it's a good point. That's definitely a good point, because we did kind of touch on, or at least Nick kind of touched on that the testing, something went wrong when it came to the testing.
Okay, I'm gonna jump in here for a sec. So let me put on my human factors engineer hat for a second.
Oh, hats are on, ladies and gentlemen. Listen up.
Hats are on. Hold on. Let me throw down some stuff for you, because I think that it is totally reasonable that this unintended consequence of interactions slipped through. Let me tell you why. They started developing the raid, and they said this in a podcast. I can't quote my source right now. I'm sorry. I think it was on either Galactic War Report or potentially one of the Game Changers videos, but they did say that they started developing this in December. That is 4 months. So to go from concept to developing the characters required for the raid to developing the actual mechanics of the raid, I can understand that, you know, there was very little testing time between when they released it, and they're up against deadlines, right? They had to get this out in February. We saw it at the beginning of March. It's only been out for 2 weeks. So I can understand how things get through the process without thorough review. I just think it's a funny coincidence that the login character is Stormtrooper Han, and it just so happens that he had one of the worst sort of offending cheeses in the game.
Yeah, it is a little bit unbelievable that it happened. Man.
Yeah, I will say though is I do remember in the Game Changers, I think it was like Mobile Gamer or Arnold T's, they said that when they got there, they didn't have every bit of content ready. And yes, a lot of game developers have deadlines. You go to like Magic the Gathering, they have deadlines to get to, and just every game does. And if it's rushed, unfortunately, there are bugs that tend to come up, and they have to fix them as they go. So honestly, like, I understand, like, he may have actually liked using Stormtrooper Han in the raid just to get, you know, help his guild get, you know, a good amount of damage. But at the same time, if the developers didn't really want Stormtrooper Han to do what they fixed him for, then it's their call on that, because they want to actually make it kind of balanced to where they don't have like overpowered teams and just because they wanted this raid to not be soloable. And if they make it to where it's soloable, then they just have another Rancor raid where Darth Vader goes in with a few other characters, or Commander Luke and Han go in and just solo the raid, and it just makes it more of an interesting experience to allow other people to get in, see what damage they can actually do in the guild, instead of just having the one or two people just solo it all the time. So, but yeah, I can see where he is on this side, on his side of the story, but at the same time, Commander Luke, or not Commander, Stormtrooper Han, he still does need a light rework for like his leader, and I'm sure we may or may not get it. He's also like, I've did a video on the fact that he might also be hinting towards a scoundrel rework, like rework some of the scoundrels. But especially since we got the Han Solo movie coming up, they might start getting things ready for that. But for the most part, if the developers didn't really want the Stormtrooper Han to work that way, then that is the reason why they fixed it.
Yeah. It just seems. I do really get his point of view. It does seem just mind blowing how this slipped past the developers.
Have you worked with developers before? No, honestly, they are probably putting out a million other fires that we didn't see, and the fact that this raid is actually going quite smoothly in comparison to the AAT that we saw a year and a half ago. I think it says a lot to say, it's okay where it's at right now. Yes, there's going to be some changes, and honestly, their testing team is probably this guy. Well, yes, that, and the fact that I'm working on a project now where we are slamming stuff together and trying to get it out the door at the end of the month, and it's nowhere near ready. And it's like, I understand the crunch that they are going through, and to say, oh my God, I can't believe they didn't test this. It's completely possible that they were aware of it and were going to patch it later, but were just silent on it because they thought no one would figure it out in the first 2 weeks too. That's another thing also that could have happened.
Okay. Well, I mean, in their defense, I'll do a freaking live stream and then forget to turn an audio thing on, and you're like, how the hell do you forget that? And it's like, well, it's actually very totally possible. These things happen, even though it seems like that's a no-brainer. It still happens. So yeah. Yes, in their defense, that kind of stuff does happen, especially if you have a lot of work on your plate, like a Sith raid and stuff. That's a lot of work on your plate. Even if it seems super obvious, you can still forget that kind of stuff. So in their defense, yeah, definitely. It's very unfortunate, though.
Yeah, we're human. Everyone on this earth is a human. We all make mistakes. It's the common thing of humanity. We do make mistakes, and that's why we learn from them, fix them, and stuff like that. And that's what they're doing, is they made a mistake here, or and not just that, it's just I'm sure that the game is really high tech on the developing side. So when they fix one thing, something else does get bugged out, and that may or may not have happened here. So
can I just be a little bit of a downer for a second?
Go ahead.
Just talking about human error and human mistakes. That is a very real part of my job, is trying to fix that stuff. And we see airplane crashes which result in the loss of life, and so a bugged character on a raid in a video game is not the biggest problem in the world. And I hate to go down this tangent, but honestly, yes, we do make mistakes, and there are much worse mistakes to make. They could have released this and had it wipe everybody's characters clean, and that would have been a much bigger issue, I assure you. So I just
Or have
I just-
Sub solo the raid.
Yeah, exactly.
That could have been a bigger fire.
All I'm saying is pick your battles because sometimes it's just not worth it.
Did you wake up dead this morning? I don't think so. So why are you complaining? I know it's a little bit of an exaggeration, but still. I don't know. I think it's really funny.
So should we move on to the next part?
The next part, I did want to bring up one thing. It kind of bleeds into this too. The return of Jedi Ray. Oh my God. I looked at the calendar again. Did they change it? So was this originally on the calendar?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, I feel like people would have talked about it by then.
Yeah, I did a video on because I do the video on the monthly calendars just to kind of cover like the login character and just the events, and I didn't see it on it before. It's just a recent add-in to, but like I said, like they said on the forum, it's subject to change because you don't get the marquee character added until the marquee or the character's kit has been released. So yeah, it hasn't been in, but I will say this: I unfortunately am not ready. It's the veterans, and I still need a 7-star BB-8.
I'm not ready either.
I'll be able to BB a 7-star BB-8. It's just veterans. I'm kind of working on dark side characters right now.
Sounds like you might be a little BB late.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
That was a good one.
I should be a comedian. You're like, no, please. I am not ready either. And I am actually quite upset about it. And considering how relaxed I've been about the rest of it, it might be a little bit of a surprise, but I am fairly upset about it. Actually, and I've got a good reason. I think I have a good reason, but I'll let you guys know. So in this raid, they specifically said, okay, Jedi Training Ray is super, super good. Everybody's using her, but we want to give other teams a chance. So let's reduce the amount of damage that Jedi Training Ray does. Let's give everyone else a chance. So that seems to be encouraging that everyone else should be developing their other squads. But on the other hand, they're saying, you know what? Since Jedi Training Ray is the only person who seems to be doing a lot of damage on this raid, let's go ahead and bring her back a little bit earlier than expected, just so that, you know, we can get this ball rolling on this raid.
That's not it at all. That's not it at all. I will give you 2 words.
Go ahead.
Market synergy.
Market. Okay.
Yeah, because I bet they're gonna add in the packs for the veterans. So, and honestly, yeah, they're trying to make. Obviously, they're a business. They're trying to make money. So it's definitely the fact that they're gonna bring those back and they're gonna get the packs out so people can get the veterans.
Well,
I just hope they update the veteran locations, add a few more locations for the veterans so that we can get them a little easier-ish.
I don't even, I hate to say, I don't even think it's about the money. Of course, they're going to make money off of this, but when I say market synergy, I'm talking about the home release of The Last Jedi on Blu-ray, who's the main hero of that.
True.
So I think it's more of a timing thing than anything, and we as players have set our expectations to expect sort of the return of a hero's journey character to be 6 months, I think, or 5 months or something along those lines, and this has only been 3 months or you know, just about 3 months. And so we've set our expectations in a way that doesn't necessarily align with when it's coming out, and I can see why a lot of people are upset, but I'm going to go ahead and take the stance that you have nobody to blame but yourself, because you didn't farm them and you knew what the requirements were when they came out the first time.
Yep.
Damn. Dropping the truth.
Throwing it down.
Throwing it down.
Yep, I'm definitely
So
not ready.
also, I wasn't finished with my point because I did want to say, ever since the Jedi Training Ray event came, I have been doing nothing. Every single point of Cantina energy ever since then has been spent on my vets. And actually, before we go there, let's just do a quick rain check on those vets. How am I doing on these vets? So this is just farming the vets. I have veteran smuggler Han Solo. I've been alternating between them. He's at 6 stars. He still needs 100 more shards, We've got Chewy at 6 or 5.5. And I've been doing nothing. Every single drop of Cantina energy has been going towards these guys, and they're not done yet. And it's been 2 months.
Have you been spending refreshes on them?
I haven't been spending refreshes. You implying I should have?
Could have probably done a one refresh a day to just
One or
throw
two,
it in.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
this
It
is.
depends on what
So
your
I'm just
crystal
a
income is.
fucking idiot. God damn it.
Stop being so dumb.
Oh,
What?
Jesus. But okay, but a lot of times I've been here. I'll do it right now. I really hope this doesn't disprove my point, but it's all a roll of the dice. I guess that is my point. So no matter how this goes, it's my point. Let's. Oops, not train. I want to sim him and see how many shards I get. Most of the time I sim, I get like 1 or 2 shards, which for the amount. This time I got 4.
Oh, that looks like a lot of shards to me.
Yeah, well, you know what? Maybe sometimes when you RNG, you lose.
RNG online, yeah. RNG online, if you're like live or something, it gives kind of more in your favor. Because I know Warrior had a guest on, and if I remember right, they actually did some good polls or something like that. And I was like, that's good. Because I even did a video and recorded it, and then I put it up online, and I got a couple of decent, like, I think it was, I don't remember what event it was, but I did a event where I got, I think it was the marquee event or something, one of the marquee events, something. But I got 3 health mods, and all 3 of them had speed on them. I'm like, I was gonna record this and put it up anyways, so I feel like online RNG is a little better when I don't. Well, obviously it has nothing to do with it, but it's just the timing. It's really what it is.
Man, I don't know. So one thing about having Jedi Training Ray, for example, come back so soon, it kind of forces people who aren't ready for him, kind of like me. I think maybe they were planning on, hey, if people are just doing this free to play, just do like the daily, like spend their Cantina energy on it. They know they're not going to be ready in time. So this kind of forces them to be in a position of, okay, do I now spend my crystals and refreshes? Hopefully there's going to be a like a double drop weekend or something. And then also, do I buy the pack that gives you, how many shards does it give you?
Before it gave you 50 of each for 20, I think.
Yeah,
Or 30. It
so-
was $30 for 50 shards each, which is a really good value.
So yeah, so if it's something like that, so that kind of forces players to make that decision. So do you feel like developers maybe had that in mind so that they'll make money, or do you feel like I'm being a little too paranoid about that?
I think it could be, like I said, market synergy. I think they were like, hey, you know, you've had this out in the game for a while, and I think the points that you just made are completely valid. And there definitely was the marketing department going, hey, how much money do you think we could make off of this? Because these guys haven't been out for that long, and how many players have them? They have all the metrics behind how many players are capped out on shards for them. So they can very easily tell, you know, what percent of the player base is right on that precipice of being able to unlock Jedi Training Ray. So I'm sure that went into it as well. But when you're talking about another point of clarification, when you're talking about the people who are making the game, they want to make a good game, and oftentimes they're beholden to the marketing department or certain contracts with Lucasfilm that dictate when things go out. And like I said, they have our best intentions at heart, and I know that's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that the developers of this game have the players' best intentions at heart.
EA
They don't want to
after
make
all.
they don't want to make a shitty game. No one wants to make a shit game because your name is tied to that. And like I just don't understand the rationale behind people like shitting on these people going, yeah, they just want to make this shit. Like, no, they want to make a good fucking game. Just like there's a bunch of other bureaucratic bullshit like the marketing department. I keep shitting on the marketing department, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah. You have a very good point. There is a balance between we really want to make a good game, but we also need to make money in order to make a good game. They have to make money. There are certain ways they can be doing that. So some people might not agree with the way they're doing it, but they do have to make money at the end of the day. And if you're playing a free-to-play game, you do have to expect this kind of stuff can happen. It's not uncommon. Oh.
Yeah.
Where am I
Of
deploying,
course.
boys? Where do we drop, boys? Top, looks like? Or you? I don't know if you
Not
can
your
see
guild.
it. Anditesh, where am I dropping? You should know this. It looks
Drop
like
bottom.
top. Drop bottom. It looks like we're almost 2 stars though. Top though.
Drop
I know,
Starfighter.
but other people will do the missions.
But
Drop bottom.
can you be sure?
Yes, I'm positive. We have some nighttime players.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah, we do. A lot of changes. There are other things I want to talk about. I don't think we should get into it in the stream. I do want to do a live stream concerning the fleet arena and the squad arena. Maybe I'll make a separate one for each. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that at a later date. But let's see. We got through the Sith raid. We got through that. We did talk about the Sith raid. We've talked about the good of the Sith raid. We've talked about the bad of the Sith raid. And we've definitely got into some of the ugly stuff. We did try to see it from a lot of different points of view. I also have like YouTube comments. Let's see, which YouTube video is this? YouTube video, Mobile Gamers, I think he just released this March 12th, yesterday, exposed damage cut in half for raids, and like concerning the Jedi training ray. I kind of wanted to read comments about that, but I feel like we did get a good perspective from both sides. Like we do understand why a lot of people are angry about it, and we're kind of angry about it too, but we also take it with a grain of salt, seeing things from the developer's point of view, and that it's complicated. It's not so simple. It's not black and white. There's a lot of factors that go into it. And I think we kind of talked about quite a bit of it.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah. And let's see, it's been about an hour. Wow, we actually did a live stream in an hour. So actually just to
Oh, yeah.
so
Sorry, go ahead.
Anditesh requested that we bring up one topic, so I think we should get into that before we go tonight. Also, I do need to turn on a light, which will take 5 seconds. Do you want to announce the topic while I do that?
Sure, yeah. So what I wanted to do is, because last year, I don't remember what month it was, but when Star Wars Rogue One came out, and I guess it was the DVD release or something like that. I didn't pay attention. All I know is I got it free to play. I wasn't really into video making at the time, and we got Bodhi for the free to play. That's if we get one this year. I'm predicting we do, but I just want your guys' opinions on a couple of characters that you think that would be some predictions of what characters you might see as a free to play, and then maybe another character, because I think we also got Poe around that time, didn't we? Peo, or however you say his name.
Pow.
How?
Pow. Yeah, Pow.
Because he comes in and he does that
Pow.
damage like pow.
Yeah, because I think we got both of those around the same time, didn't we?
I think so, yeah. That was kind of around the time. I think I made fun of it around the time. I was like, oh, everyone's favorite Star Wars characters. Yes.
Rose Tico.
Don't even joke about it. What?
So, you guys want to see, kind of give some predictions of a couple of characters we could still possibly get?
Yes, actually, you tell us what you've been thinking about, and we're gonna give you our opinions.
Okay, so I'm gonna have 3 in that area, and I feel like I'm hoping as well, because a lot of people want dark side, but I feel like first order characters are very optional. Actually, now I have a 4th I just thought of, but the first one would be the BB-9E droid, basically the dark side BB-8 that kind of spotted out when BB-8 was pretending to be kind of a giant mouse droid in the movie. Spoilers, sorry, spoilers.
It's been out for a while. You're fine.
I know.
You can watch it now on Blu-ray, or no, sorry, not Blu-ray, on home digital, movies anywhere.
I can watch it on home digital. What the hell am I doing here?
Yeah, so that is one prediction. I'm trying to remember my second one, but my third one was the what's it called? It was an enemy in one of the latest raid, or not raid, but it was the. Dang it.
Describe them.
They have the baton.
Praetorian guards?
No.
No.
The stormtrooper.
The riot trooper.
The riot trooper. I feel like he would be one of those simple 3 ability characters, basic, special, and a unique. And he could be like a tank or something. We could get him as a possible free to play.
I mean, they got the character model for it. I wouldn't see why not.
Yeah. But the other one, unless they decide to do this as for some other like marquee event, but the other character I'm thinking actually is a light side is a Maz Kanata.
Oh, Maz Kanata.
She is a very optional character. I'm sorry, I can't remember one of the other characters, but it was a dark side first order character. If I think about it, I'll let you know. But what do you guys predict?
I want to jump in here and say there are a couple other first order characters, I think notably, that a lot of people have been clamoring for, which would be the Praetorian Guards, those red guys that fight with Kylo Ren and Rey, and also Snoke. A lot of people have been asking for Snoke, although he does nothing in the movies other than like force lightning and I guess stasis and sort of throwing you around the room. So I guess I can see that. But then Hux. Hux is the last one because he'd be a great fleet arena commander. And I think, ships are stale in this game, and they kind of spruced it up. They kind of spruced it up with Chimera, but then we haven't seen anything since. And you also have Amilyn Holdo too. So I wouldn't be surprised if they come out and say, okay, here's the Radis and here's Snoke's supremacy, and you get two more fleet arena captains that have synergy with those factions. This is like big plans. If you're talking about like strictly free to play characters, my vote is with Praetorian Guard, or at least as a marquee that they'll make farmable.
Yeah, honestly, I will say before Sarah jumps in, one thing I would say about Snoke is I see him as a legendary character, and they could possibly release a legendary character at that time too. Snoke would be a good one for that.
I don't know. So here's my thought on the legendary. I don't know if they do another legendary because they're doing both BB-8 and Hero's Journey Rey in this month, and then the Blu-ray is actually out in like 2 weeks. So it's possible that they do it at the beginning of April, but I am not placing my bets on another legendary that quick, especially a new one. So
or they save that for another month with the Praetorian Guards and maybe a few other first order characters. So it just all depends on what goes on with that.
I definitely agree with you guys concerning what characters could possibly come to the game. It feels like Snoke could definitely make it. I feel like he probably should at this point. And then the pectoral muscle guards. They should definitely be in the game. That they definitely seemed cool. I think a lot of people would like that. Let's do this. And then also, I know you guys touched slightly, or just like a passing comment about the fleet arena being stale. That's definitely going to be in my next live stream. I don't know if I want to do that next week or the week after, or if anyone wants to join me. I'm planning on doing it alone unless anyone wants to join me. Maybe sometime next week or the week after. But I'm definitely going to be covering that, and then also maybe a little bit of the squad arena. I don't know. Maybe I'll just do that all in one video. I think that would make sense.
If I have time, I could join you on it, but we'll see.
And Nickar, I know you're a busy bee.
Depending on availability, I'm down.
Okay. I'll throw around some times, and if anyone can join me, great. If not, then whatever. I think we did cover quite a bit. We did cover some things that need to be added. Also, I'm sure, like, I think we're kind of excluding some of the new movies that came out when it comes to future content or future characters that come out. We know that if a new Han Solo movie comes out, we're probably getting a new Han Solo, number 5. And then, actually,
young
you know what?
Lando, Kira.
I think I want to cover. Go ahead.
Woody Harrelson's character.
I wouldn't mind a new Lando, like a younger Lando, but I feel like the Raid Han kind of fits the role of Han Solo during the Han Solo movie and the A New Hope movie. I just don't see another one, but another
Market
Chewbacca.
synergy.
Yeah, I know. That's probably really what's going to happen, but honestly, I don't want another Han Solo.
Well, we
At
do.
least he won't be
It-
Rebel
it
this time.
It depends on what his kit is, and yeah, I don't think he'll be rebel. I think he'll be scoundrel only, and it'd be the perfect time to introduce a scoundrels or bounty hunter rework.
We do need to complete the circle of life. Once we have 5 Han Solos, I think we can stop.
Galaxy of Hans.
Yep.
I really can't wait to see those in Arena. I know for a fact that people are just gonna just screw around in Arena. Once that happens, they're just gonna put that in there. They don't care about their rank. I would if I had 5 Hans. I don't have all of them unlocked.
All gear 12.
Let's see, what are they?
Yep.
I have been collecting all the characters. Let's see, let me look at who I don't have unlocked. It's mostly like the super top tier characters, and I think the only exception is this guy. You know who that guy. So I don't have
Hey,
him.
you should activate your Rose. She's great.
I've got an idea. How about not?
Oh, Rose Tico.
Rose
Well, I will
Tico
say
can
this,
go. I
And
can't think.
Holdo's not even activated. She's going to be a fleet commander soon.
I'm going to be
At least
getting
you're
into that
predicting.
during the Fleet Arena live stream that we're going to do next, because we don't have time to talk about it now. Anditesh Ordo might have to put his kids to bed.
Yeah, well, I got a little bit more time, but
Ah.
I probably need to finish. But I will say one thing. I just to help your guys' guild out, at least, I did a video, I don't know if you guys saw it, about improving guild power. So you can get better raids for the territory wars and territory battles, stuff like that. But I did suggest, getting characters that are level 1, get them close to level 30, and then eventually level 50. Because I kind of got the idea from Crazy Excuses. Because she did a video and she talked about strictly, level 50 at 50 to 55. And I'm like, that's a good, good benchmark. But sometimes because I actually did the calculations, if you go from 0 to 50, it's like 400, 500,000. And that's like half of like at least $1 million of what you make from like a credit heist. And so I suggested,
That's a galactic war.
or was it?
Yeah.
No,
You get.
Galactic War is 600,000.
Oh yeah, so even less then.
Yeah, and so like you could burn up a good amount of Galactic War for one character, but I feel like it would be, because I think it was like 50,000 per character to go to at least level 30. So I kind of suggested level 30, level 35. So at least, so I would, just to help your guys' guild out on Galactic Power and whatnot, I would suggest activating. I know you don't like the idea of activating. Like I have my Rose and Amela and Holdo at level 30. I don't think I'll put them to level 50 yet. I have a ton more characters to get to level 50, 55, like Tuscan and Echo and Low Gray and Spirit.
Yeah, I will echo
Veterans.
that. I have every character at least level 50 and up to blue gear. And that's kind of like where I sit. And every time I level a character, I do it in increments of 5. And that has added so much galactic power, which is good for territory battles, like you said. Like you can deploy, and it just gives you a ton. It helps us get those extra stars. So you should definitely work on that, Sar. And
Yeah.
any of our guildies who are listening.
Yeah, Nick, I was going to say to Anditesh that Nick did recommend that I do that. I did do that with a lot of my characters, not all of them. Obviously, there's like a little bottom tier down here that I know some of these I just unlocked as well. So I haven't done that yet, but I am working on, I do want to do that real quick. And then also, I'm not ready to activate Holdo and Tico. I'm in kind of the group of people that really strongly dislike them. I'm not ready for it. I need more time. Baby, please give me more time. I'm not ready. But yeah, some of the other characters, and I'm sure you might have seen some of my other characters, like I've got them geared up, which I probably shouldn't, like my Separatist characters. Let's just take a little gander at my Separatist characters.
Use the filter.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. I'm getting them up there. Spies gear 11, Soldier is gear 11, Poggle's gear 10. I want to get Grievous up there. Dooku's Zeta. I shouldn't have them Zeta. Okay, whatever. Sorry, I probably shouldn't be getting into that. But I guess what I was trying to say is that
Like Grievous Zeta, what?
nothing.
Someday it'll be worth it when he gets that rework.
Yeah,
Whatever that's gonna be.
a lot of people. I've seen a lot of comments about that, like on Arnold's. I know he loves Grievous, but the last person, like, I guess about the Sith raid controversy, there wasn't one comment like, just forget all this noise. I just, can we get my man Grievous a rework?
He's going to be able to solo the raid.
So the last thought I have on the Sith raid is that I feel like, because when the hat raid came out, it was still hard, but when new characters came out, like, I feel like BB-8 came out after hat came out, right?
Oh yeah,
and he was
after.
super useful for hat. And also I think Thrawn
also came out after.
Yeah.
And then like
that's what
Jedi
we
training. So like I feel like there are still characters to come, and once they come, Sith raid's going to be way more easier. I think it's setting up for something, or at least they kind of have to at this point. If they're going to they insist on keeping like the stacking tenacity, they insist on keeping a lot of certain things in the raid. So if they insist on that, I feel like they kind of have to come out with new characters that are going to help a lot more.
You need to get Captain Han to 5 stars.
I'm sorry.
Rolo shards.
I'm sorry. I was focusing on the vets. That's why, right? Yeah, because they need that.
Okay. All right. That's
Once
fair.
the vets are done, it's Captain Han Solo.
All right. Okay.
I promise.
We need those Rolo shards for Jedi
I
loot.
promise you.
Good thing you weren't in my guild. You would be kicked out already because
Oh
they
my
had a
god.
requirement to have at least 5-star Stark and Han Solo by end of February. But then again, we are a really more competitive guild, and I was okay with it. I hated farming Captain Han because I wanted to focus on dark side. But once I got Captain Han to 5-star, instantly focus on Stark, and now he's 7-star. So, but I think it is time to wrap it up, though.
Yes, it is. It definitely is. And then also on that note, are you sick of dealing with guilds who insist on having certain characters? Why don't you join Mom's Basement? In Mom's Basement, Mom loves you no matter what, and will always have a steaming hot plate of leftover meatloaf ready for you to consume at your leisure. She'll bring it down to you. She's a great mom. But anyway, if you come to Mom's Basement, we're not taking Nazis or anything like that. We do require that you participate and stuff like that, but if you message Nickar or even myself on Discord, or if you find us in game, go ahead and send us a message if you're interested, and we'll take a look at your profile, or we'll send you some details about what you need, and we'll get you. Oh, someone just messaged me here too. Yes, in the chat. Thank you for doing that.
Yep.
So yeah, do that so that you can win all those freaking territory wars with us, because we win so much. I feel like we're exploiting that a little bit. I think it's just because we have a lot of some good members, but not fully.
Don't give away our secrets.
Okay, I really think it's like we're kind of. Okay, never mind. I'm not saying anymore.
We can talk about this offlineable.
Well, we're gonna the next offline stream, which is coming up next after I end this stream. You won't hear it, but it'll be an offline stream. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Just to do a quick recap, if you liked what Mr. Nick said, anything of the words that came out of his mouth, you can find him also, like some other things he does, at the Human Factors cast. Please check that out because it's pretty awesome. Also, if you kind of liked what Mr. Anditesh Ordo said, he goes a lot more in depth about Galaxy of Heroes. And you can find him at his YouTube channel, Anditesh Ordo. It's pretty awesome. So if you're into Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes and theory crafting and stuff like that, or even some of the other stuff, not quite Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, go check that out. And as for me, if you want some more live stream stuff once in a rare while, maybe once a month, maybe once every couple weeks, stuff like that, you can always check out my channel. And then also if you're interested in video photo editing or music or stupid skits, just stupidity in general, you might want to check out my channel there. Don't expect frequent updates. I'm trying to shoot for one thing per week, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, thank you so much for joining, everyone. This has been Offlineable, Nickar, Anditesh Ordo coming at you with the all the thoughts about the Sith raid. and hopefully, I don't know, we kind of talked about a lot, so why don't you just kind of sit on that and let that think while you're chewing mom's meatloaf. Anyway, join us next stream. I always leave a little announcement video in advance, try to do it 24 hours in advance. So anyway, if you enjoyed, maybe let us know by a rating or a comment or something. And also, if you listen, don't necessarily be a passive listener. I do read the comments or the chat, the live chat. I might be a little slow about it, but I'm trying to get better. And also, if you have opinions, I will put them on the stream too. So you can be just as much a part of this as we are. Anyway, thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time. Everyone say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Have fun, goodbye, and enjoy your day at night, or whatever you're watching.
Yeah.